did, if you saw the whole film on process, he came into the room, and then they started to suggest what they might do. Take a vote, and they suggested, or 11 of us persuade Honda. The process developed. They were not mapping out a process from beginning to end. And in a problem-solving situation of work, if you don't map the process out before you start, you might never finish. Right? That's why a lot of meetings are unproductive. That's why we videoed you the other day, because I'm never quite sure about the process skills in an organisation. So by giving you a task early on, Monday, I think, right? I could see to what extent people were aware of the process, and usually it's not aware enough of the process in order to be effective. We're all, right through the formal education system, we're all seduced into content. Problem solving, cost problem, quality problem, quality. Buying problem, buying. Delivering problem, delivery, without concentrating on the process to make it effective. So I don't know if you don't need total quality training, but the experience on total quality training is if you get the process right, you can quadruple the productiveness of meetings. Quite simple. This meeting model, I said at the beginning of the week, I'll defy you to forget it. Get that shape? Pretty hard, right? You've got a group at a starting point at the beginning of the meeting. And you've got the goal at the end. And you've got you can call it either process or pathway. So, small group of people wanting to go somewhere. Okay, go to the football match. You know where you're starting from. You know which match you're going to. Because there's 3 football clubs in Glasgow. You can know how to get there, right? So, in work terms, when you meet, you need to be clear about where you want to get to. So the goal needs to be clear, needs to be measurable, but it needs to be agreed. Don't care whether somebody's done prior design on the meeting. It's often helpful to do so, right? But at the beginning of the meeting, when people come into the room, we need to do something to make sure that you all agree this is the goal, this is what we're heading for, and that you all agree with that, and nobody can think of anything that's missing. There's no hidden agendas. So if we agree that, then the expectation is everybody's helping to work towards that, and when we get there, we're happy. If we're not there, we're not happy. Particularly in, not particularly, but also in production teams, there's an opportunity to make everybody in the team aware of process and aware of goal, aware of start point and aware of process, and the process help can come from anybody in the room rather than just, as it normally is, from the leader or the chairman. The chairman role is a bit old-fashioned because it means all of the guidance, all of the process, all of the agenda is his, people are just splashing around in the content. It's a lot better to have people skilled in and accepting responsibility for and discipline about also owning the process and also owning the end point of the goal.
There's not one other thing that should go in there, and on the list is, I thought, a review. And the reason why I say that, you can sit at a meeting and there may be an individual or individuals at that meeting and say, why the hell am I wasting my time here? If they don't have the chance to have that input, then the next time the same type of meeting, they're going to be there again and feeling the same frustration.
That's you setting the goal. That's you setting the...
No, that's not your goal. You've achieved your goal. You've had your meeting.
Okay.
That's why I'm suggesting a review.
So you can't get agreement that you've reached the goal unless you say, hey, have we achieved all of these? Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you can have a review anytime you like, but you think it's important. Okay, well, what I'm trying to talk through is one of the early things in the meeting is to be clear about what success looks like at the end, what's the goal. And then to dip down here and to just identify any information, any individual thinks is important. To bear in mind, there could be a little in there, there's not a lot. But it might be that I think it's important that we bear in mind this meeting is supposed to finish at 4 and I have another meeting at 10 past. You know, is the end point in time terms really hard, or is there need for somebody to duck out and make a phone call or something like that? Or that we might need to call somebody in if we want some help on the topic. So just be clear that you share the information that you think is necessary, just bear in mind as you're working towards that goal. So that's like third, be clear what we're starting from. And then second is just getting the process, get a logical series of steps that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, as many as you want. But everybody's thinking, what's the first logical step to take us off towards that? So where does that get us to? Right, so what's the next logical step? So everybody's owning, designing the process. This is the whole meeting, designing the process. And if I've designed it beforehand, what I'm doing is I'm talking you through it to see if you agree. Or what you're working in your own mind, is it a logical connection? Does step 1 get us to the point where step 2 is appropriate? Or am I missing out a step in here that we should be putting in? And if the team is really mature on meeting skills, you can often do that verbally, but most times with a lengthy meeting, you should have it written down. Dave might use this model to design this week, so you can use it for a short meeting, or use it for a long one. There's the goal on the wall. We've got a very detailed process with a lot of key points in, but there's the headline topics on the daily list, which is just pulling out the highlights out of the detailed process that we've designed. And then every now and then, again this week we've been checking, this is where we are. We've been saying, does this next step make sense or not, or should we be changing it? We've been changing a few things. Like this morning, responding to a change that was appropriate. So you can design the process, but you don't follow it slavishly. You can alter it to make it more appropriate. But when everyone's agreed it, you start getting off track. Like I said this morning, well, I think we're getting off the point. You know, that contribution of, hey, we're getting off the point can come from anybody rather than just the chairman. So with your process skills, there's an opportunity to be an influencing development of skills around meetings. You're like, you should never attend a meeting unless you know how long it's for. That's common in organizations to agree meetings. Hey, have a meeting at 2 o'clock on Friday, and you've got no idea how long, right? Is that common?
I think I have meetings and Paisley to decide when they're going to have meetings.
Well, in terms of the assertiveness model, right? What I'm trying to do is to write a little ansally for what are the rights of the individual in CSD. And I think it's a right for every individual in CSD who is invited to go to a meeting. It's a right for you to know the end point. How long is it going to last before you turn up? because you've all got responsible jobs, you've all got pressure, and if you don't know the end point of the meeting, you can't plan, can you? Right?
It's not just the planning. The big danger is you don't take part because you're not focused, because you're thinking of something else. If you know an end point, then your input's a lot greater than it would be if you don't know the end point.
Right. So if you're sitting in the room and there's none of that around, right, and I've just been phoning it bit by bit like a series of rabbits out of a hat, you don't know how I'm reading it to, right? So that's clear. And I work harder, do you agree? No, nearly like David looking in the eyes and telling me you agree with that goal, that process. You know what I mean? Nearly that, right?
Yes.
So you haven't got somebody playing hidden agendas or silly buggers. So I believe you're entitled to know not just the start point, but the end point. You're entitled to punctuality. You're entitled to know, so now you attend the meeting, you're entitled to know what it's about. This is why are we here? Many ways of defining our goal, but why are we here? How will we know when it's ended? I can't participate in a meeting without knowing where the hell we're going to. Right? And if you know why you're there, or the end point, the goal, I say you're entitled to know what steps are we going to follow, what process are we going to follow. Whether you require somebody to design it beforehand and then enroll you in it, or you do this in an impromptu way. When you've got the skills, you can do it quite fast.
This was the way your analysis, surely. You know, who, what, why, where, and the how is outside the box.
Yeah.
Because that's what your meeting's about.
Right. So a simple meeting model, I've got a hand over. It's simple, but it's also kind of hard to develop a skill. It's not overnight. Do you use any models like that in?
We use models, didn't particularly use that. I've never seen that one before. I've had meeting models, didn't particularly stick to them on my eye. Probably a bit like Graham was saying, meetings decide when you're going to have a meeting.
Did you always? It's
Nice to know the grants are the same. I mean, I find it cool.
At times meetings, and basically you thought, why did I spend an hour sitting there? Not having a clue what people were talking
Even
about.
if you say it will last till 4, my experience shows quite often that can run on to 4:30, 4:45.
And it depends really on the person that's holding, chairing the meeting to be disciplined at that point, to make sure that everyone stays on the topic.
Yeah.
And that's true.
But quite often it's an underestimate of how long it's actually going to take.
That's it.
One of the big things about meetings in Paisley is not necessarily people with the real input that are at the meetings, people with the real knowledge. I'm thinking, Bill and I discuss something. I've never been involved in a meeting with Bill. Every top one goes back, and somebody who really knows nothing about it then goes to a meeting with Bill's people. I know exactly what the problem was. It's hands-on. I should be there. I perhaps haven't taken ownership, but it was something that came through. I perhaps haven't taken ownership, but somebody who's known nothing about it at all has gone to a meeting to say that is not right. So are the right people there?
Right. So who is planning the meeting has the responsibility for deciding the right people? Now, in this conversation, there are several more subtle forms of aggression showing up, right? I say it's a form of aggression to fix a meeting without telling the end point, because you can't plan your work. It's a form of aggression to have you turn up at a meeting and not be clear about the end point. Somebody's keeping you in the dark, right? It's like an entitlement for you to know why you are here. And to understand the process you're getting to. You're going to use together. So little by little, next time somebody asks you for a meeting, say, for how long? You get a contract that is a a brick wall. Okay, you're planning something after that. I've practiced on somebody like Brian Rothenwall and Eric Easton for a while. There's another, perhaps not a sort of form of aggression. I've heard lots of times in Paisley, right? Oh, Eric's called a meeting. Right? People are tearing their diaries up. You know? I can't come, why? Eric's called a meeting. So I'll tell you, one little target I've got is for Eric to see that, just say, I need a meeting at 10 o'clock, invite 15 people, right? There's got to be a conversation around, so what could happen to you coming across? To see the aggression in that. That was a fire or a crisis, I mean, that's one thing, but I think even bosses need to set an example to plan.
I used to work in the same office as Eric.
Used to what?
I used to work in the same office as him before he became VP.
Oh.
And I think he probably has mellowed over the years, but he used to take stamping tantrums. Really tantrums, stamping his feet, shouting. And the whole office used to just go silent, you know. And that was only because his secretary had gone to the toilet. Honestly, I mean, that's true. I mean, he was looking for her and she wasn't at her desk and he was stamping his feet. I want a secretary! The whole place just silent. And poor Margaret walks in the room and got it flat. But I think he has changed.
Yeah, it's all over.
He has.
So you clear up the meeting more? Any questions? Give you a handout on it.
So not a case of, again, this is really leadership by example. If the one at the top respects other people's time and the way that they've got to organise it, then other people will do the same further down the line.
Yeah, but it also has to take people below that being assertive and saying, standing up and saying, like, I'm sorry, I know that's important, but I also have this.
But if you explain that to them, to them.
I don't know what Hill Thompson's are like, but I never feel this thing, quite seriously. I remember a meeting at Paisley. Oh, she's at a meeting, oh, he's at a meeting. I don't know what Hill Thompson's are the same. I'm the first to say meetings are all quiet. But too many.